Course in Miracles describes a holy instant as any moment in time and an experience where you are really realizing oneness with the Creator and all of creation. A Course in Miracles says that we all have had these moments in our lives where we truly feel at one with the Creator and all of creations. And for some of us, these moments have been fleeting. And for some of us, we have not felt this for a while. But the Course says that it's a feeling that we can activate. It's an experience that we can cause to happen. That we can cause ourselves to get to that place where Sister Jennifer just said that Reverend Ed is constantly reminding us, all is one. I am at one with the Creator and all of creation. And so I choose this moment as the moment to offer to the Holy Spirit. That this might be a holy instant for each and every one of us. The Course says that I can only experience a holy instant for me when you're included. That I can't have a holy instant for myself, by myself. It has to be a holy instant that includes you. All of you that I love and care for and appreciate, and those that I don't appreciate. Those that I kind of wonder why they're here. A holy instant requires that I include everyone into my field of oneness, and that I offer to everyone quietness, peace of mind, and gentleness. This was not an easy practice for me when I first began, but now it is one of my most fun things ever to do. It is one of my most fun things ever to be in the world and to smile at someone and have them scowl back at me. And for me to instantly remember that in days of old I would have been reactive. I would have said, oh yeah? You got that from me? Wait till you see what I got coming back. You think you bad? Wait till I unleash me. But now one of my funnest things to do is to smile at someone and have them scowl at me. And I feel this big smile immediately come into my heart. And I feel my heart chakra open up really wide. And I go, whether you include me in your heart is none of my business, but me including you in my heart is the only business for which I was born. I love backtracking in my life, and I pretty much don't have to do this too much because I've spent so many years doing it that I've run out of people. People who I feel like wounded me, who hurt me, who backstabbed me, who put me down. People who did not like me, people who condemned me, who I used to be reactive with. Oh, you want to judge me? Well, I'll judge you right back. I mean, it's the Old Testament. It's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And it's where most of humanity lives. Most of humanity lives in an animal consciousness, a survival mode. It would not be good for my safety and survival to love people who don't love me, to smile at people who scowl at me, and to forgive people who have wounded me. It's not good for my survival. I've got to take care of me. Most of the human consciousness is animal consciousness based on survival mode. And we're called to rise above and beyond that. So some of the people that I really judged against the most have become some of my dearest people. I have a sister, my one remaining sibling. Her choice for her partner is a man that for years for years, I judged against her. I thought he's just bringing my sister down. How did she end up with kind of dude like this? He's got so many issues, dragging her into all this drama. And I just thought it was okay to live in that consciousness about him, because after all, he deserves it. I mean, look at him. Check out how he acts. And my sister loved him, and she just rode through thick and thin with him. And she actually lifted him up at times where it was puzzling to me. I didn't like it. I was the pastor of a church, and she was the music minister. And he could act crazy on Saturday night. I mean, call the cops crazy. And then on Sunday morning, my sister would announce, he's going to be leading the 3 songs with the choir. Mm-hmm. Let's welcome him. I'm the pastor of the church. I've been a minister for decades. And I sat there wanting to choke him and her. This couldn't be okay. You're rewarding him for what happened at the house last night with the police and this and that and the other. Now he gets this big fat reward. He gets to stand on the podium, grab a microphone, and show off his voice leading these songs. Songs that I wrote, that I'm the lead on. You're telling the church Reverend Carlos won't be doing the lead. My partner will. Well, one Sunday, I was trying to manage resisting the urge to get up out of my pastor's chair and to go across that stage and push him off. And a quiet voice spoke, and I know the quiet voice because it's been speaking to me since I was a little bitty lad. And it said, Carlos, could you try something for me? What? Could you close your eyes and take a deep breath? And I want that breath to release everything that you have been naming him. And then I would like you to open up your eyes, and I would like you to gaze upon him as you imagine I would gaze upon him. This was about 13 years ago. I closed my eyes, I took a deep breath, because I'm good at taking the instructions of the quiet voice, but I had no faith. I figured I'm going to take my breath, open my eyes, and still want to get up and go over there and push him off the stage in church on a Sunday morning. But I closed my eyes, I took a deep breath, and I went, what's the next? Oh, to look at, to gaze upon him, as I believe the one behind the voice gazes upon him. And I did. And my whole world changed. I went from hating on him to loving him as much as I love anybody. That was about 13 years ago, and it's the big thrill of everyone at Hope Community's life that when they see me, see him, and run to him, to hug him up, they know there must be a God somewhere. My sister actually said to me, it seems like you love him more than you love me. And I went, Rhonda, the truth be told, I think I do. I think I love him more than I love you. I think I love him more than I love our other sister. I think I love him more than I love Timothy. Because I never hated you. I never hated Timothy. I never hated Crystal. The depth of my love for him has everything to do with the fact that it was preceded by the depth of my hatred. A Course in Miracles says, the holiest spot on earth is where a past hatred has become a present love. Me and him can't get enough of each other. I call him 2 or 3 times a week for 13 years. Want to have lunch? Want to have supper? He is my proof that all you have to do is have a little willingness to drop the rock. That rock that you've been self-righteously carrying around to stone somebody for what they said or didn't say, or did or didn't do. A little willingness is all it takes. A willingness to recognize the oneness. And so I desire this holy instant for myself that I might share it with you, my sisters, my brothers, whom I love. It is not possible that I can have a holy moment without you, nor is it possible that you could ever have one without me. Yet it is wholly possible for us to share one now. And so I choose this instant as the one to offer to the Holy Spirit that her blessings may descend on us and keep us each in peace. Historically, for a while, this April month has been a most challenging month for me emotionally. Tomorrow, April 8th, will mark the anniversary of my partner Johnny Earls making transition April 8th, 1991. My mother made her transition in April. My sister Crystal made her transition in April. And yesterday in the checkout line at Walmart, the woman in front of me recognized me and turned to tell me that one of my good friends of 30 years had made transition. I've been renovating, as you know, my bedroom, and I have not been reading the paper or keeping up with any news, so I had no idea that Danny had made his transition, and that while I was at home banging nails, they were having a service for him. And so April is a big deal for me. And coming here this morning was a big deal for me because I have totally, completely loved being in a ministry partnership with Reverend Ed. And one benefit of the Easter times were that my sister Colette and my sister Carol, on Easter time, said, we have you one Sunday, we have Reverend Ed the next, we have you, then we have Reverend Ed, but on Easter, baby, on resurrection season, we're going to have you both. And that was one of the biggest joys of my ministry life, knowing that me and Reverend Ed, and we would do touch-ins, and we would do check-ins, and he would say, what do you think about this? I'll deal with inside the tomb. You deal with when he walks out. Another Easter he said, why don't you deal with the regeneration process that's going on inside the tomb, and I'll deal with when he walks out. Or you take the crucifixion, I'll take the resurrection. Or you take the resurrection, I'll take the ascension. Such a partnership. I told one of my minister friends who actually he is responsible for me even getting to know Reverend Ed. He had us both at a workshop, and I was going on and on about the effect of Reverend Ed in my life and how he's made me a better man, a better human being, a better teacher, a better preacher. And my friend said, wow. And when someone says wow and doesn't answer, my mind tries to make up what they're thinking. I go to the human part first, and I go, I wonder if the pause is for me to say, oh, and I feel that way about you too. And I resist that temptation. And they go, well, maybe I'm supposed to explain it more. No, I resist that temptation. And I go, I said what I meant. Dude. You are such a blessing to me. I am so grateful for you. I am so grateful for your teaching. And I'm so grateful that you're an author of your teaching. I'm so grateful for your willingness to be disciplined enough to create a book, to put your material down so that it can live for me forever. I told Sister Jennifer when I saw that she had messaged me when I was on Route 2 heading here, and the message was that Reverend Ed was not going to be able to be here. And I had left the house telling my household, and Timothy, I get to hug Reverend Ed and you don't. I get to hug him and you don't. And so I was looking forward to my big fat hug on Reverend Ed. And so when I got your message, I realized, thank God that Timothy recently showed me for the 12th time that I could just tell Siri to call somebody. I saw your message and I'm like, oh Lord, I'm on Route 2. I'm in this weird level of Route 2. Ain't no way I wish I could pick up that phone and dial her back. And then it was like I heard Tim going, dude, Siri will do it for you. So I was so happy to go, Siri, call Jennifer Furtado for me. And I heard, hi, Reverend Carlos. And we expressed our sadness about Reverend Ed not being here. We expressed our deep love. Do you know why we get sad when we're not going to see people? Because we love them so doggone much. If you don't love somebody, hearing that you won't see them is good news. He's not going to be there? Oh, this is a treat. But when you love people, you want to be with them. You want to hug them. And so reminders like those that we've had today already, that people are in our heart. My mother did make transition some years ago, and my sister made transition, and Johnny Earl, and so many friends and family and loved ones. And they are still with me. Some of them are even more with me. Something came out of my mouth at my father's funeral when I was preaching, doing his eulogy. It came out of my mouth, and I don't remember it ever coming into my head, but out of my mouth comes, when you are no longer confined to one body, you get to be in every body.
Amen.
And I used to just keep that for people who had made transition. But now I use that for people like my sister Shar, who I have an opportunity to be with every Sunday for a good while, and we love each other from the very beginning. And as I said to my sister Shar when we were doing the Face of God, we have loved each other since before we were born. I told Brother Raleigh one day, I was born in Springfield, Illinois, and I looked all over Springfield for you, and I never found you. And then I moved to St. Paul, Minnesota, and I looked all over St. Paul for you, and I never found you. And then I moved to Manhattan, and I looked all over Manhattan for you, and I never found you. And then I moved to Philadelphia. I looked all over the streets of Philly for you, bro, but I never found you. And then I moved to Miami, and I looked all over Miami for you, and I never found you. I couldn't find you in Montague or Amherst or anywhere else. And lo and behold, here at Unity in the City, I walk in and you walk in one day, and I go, dude, I have been looking for you all my life. That's how I feel about you, Beverly. It is so how I feel about you. And so what I get now, it's not about transition. And life is change. And we don't stay close-knit in the same circles. Families that grow up together, suddenly somebody moves away. They go to college. When they go to college, it's not, it's a two-part thing. You're so happy for them and so sad for you. Because when we love somebody, we want to be able to reach out, grab them, and hug them up anytime we want. Life has changed. Change is letting go. So now what I get when I think about people that I haven't seen in a while is that I had them locked into their body. I had them locked as a physical person with me physically. But now when that's not happening, I go, they are free to be in me. Not with me, in me. And so the depth of my sadness about hearing that Reverend Ed is not going to be able to continue on with the ministry, when I felt the depth of the sadness, I realized the depth of the sadness indicates the depth of the love. You're not really being sad right now. You're being in touch with the depth of your love right now. And it might feel like sadness, but it is an awakening heart. Louise Hay, who most of us have heard of, way back years ago, had to be in the very beginning of the 80s, I believe it was, when I first encountered Louise Hay. And Johnny Earl and I were music ministry team known throughout the whole Unity movement, and we were constantly going to different churches and workshops and retreats for the Unity movement. And we were invited to go and sing at one of Louise Hay's circles. She had just begun these little circles. They were circles of healing, and they were brave circles because they were circles for people who were diagnosed with HIV as HIV positive or full-blown AIDS. And during those times, most people were afraid to get around people who were HIV positive or who were full-blown AIDS people. They were the lepers of the day. You don't touch them or you will get it. I remember visiting some people in hospitals who were diagnosed as HIV positive or full-blown AIDS, and they put me in a suit that was something like a spacesuit, with a mask, and everything was covered. Either a spacesuit or something that, if you're going to spray paint your house, you need to be fully covered. And I thought, wow, this is, and here she is, she's giving circles for the people in their family. And I went, wow. Well, they began their circles with a song, and my mind is not remembering right now who wrote it, but the song was called It's Only Change. The lyrics are very simple. They're very profound. Doors closing, doors opening. Doors are closing. I am opening. I am safe. It's only change. I am safe. It's only change. Doors closing, doors opening. Doors are closing. I am opening. I am safe. It's only change. I am safe. It's only change. Just in the number of years that I have been here as one of your ministers, doors have closed, doors have opened. We don't have the same board. We don't have the same music ministry team. We don't have the same location. We don't have the same particular group of congregants who gather together. And some of those changes that have occurred, my initial reaction is that I don't feel safe. I want it to stay the same. What's going to happen? Like, are things going to fall apart? And a couple of times it has looked like things seem to be falling apart. My sister Crystal, who I was her minister, and she became my minister, and she said, Carly, sometimes when it looks like things are falling apart, they're really coming together in a new form. That's the way life is. That's the way it works. I had told you all I'm having someone do, I'm hiring someone to do construction in my little wing of the house. And once they get done constructing, I will be free to beautify. That's where I shine.
That's right.
I'm a beautifier. And I had a moment to share time with my sister Karen and my sister Jennifer. And I said, one thing I forgot to say about the construction is that it's preceded by destruction.
Right.
You know, before he's putting up what I want him to put up,
Yes.
he has to tear down what was already there.
Right.
And I went, wow, that's life. Nothing stays the same. And sometimes the way it is, it gets tired being the way it is. It gets tired of being a caterpillar with potential to be a butterfly. It wants to be a butterfly. But the caterpillar has to give itself up to become something completely different. I imagine that might be a little scary of a contemplation if a caterpillar has enough consciousness to get scared like I do sometimes. So what I have to remember through every change is that doors close, doors open, doors are closing, I am opening, and that I'm safe. So that's what I kept having to remember about Unity in the City as I drove here this morning, Brother Ed, is that I had to remember that you are safe during whatever the changes are that you're experiencing right now. I want to remind you that you are safe. And as the door is closing on your ability to be here physically as a minister of this church, that there's an opening of a door in you and an opening and a door for us to just get how much we love you.
Yes.
And that will never, ever, ever change. Love is the only constant amidst the change. Thank you, brother. I bow to you. Namaste. A few years after Johnny and I went to Louise Hayes Circle, we were at a Unity church in Atlanta singing a concert. And toward the end of the concert, I'm irritated. I love confession. It's good for my soul. I don't want anybody thinking that I'm one of these ministers who's, oh, he's got it all together. He's always blissful. He's always loving. Ooh, I want to grow up and be like him. No, you don't. I'm trying to grow up and be like Jesus personally. I'm trying to grow up not to be like me and to be a higher expression of who I was born to be. But I was upset with Johnny during the last 4 songs of our concert because he was not holding his notes. We sing the same songs, we hold the notes, and he just kept cutting off early. And I was first time he did it, I thought, well, you know, I'll let that slide. And then he did it again on the next song, and the next song. And then at the end of the concert, as soon as we were out of earshot of all the people I had come to minister to and show my bright side to, backstage, I'm like, what is going on with you? Why were you cutting off the notes? And he had his back to me, and he turned around and he went, darling, I can barely breathe. And we rushed him to a hospital. And he didn't let me go in. They gave him some news. He came back out. He didn't tell me what they told him. He just said, book an immediate flight back to Massachusetts so that I can make an appointment with my doctor. And when he came out of the room with his doctor, he said, I have AIDS. And all of a sudden it was him I was going to the hospital to see. and dressing up like an astronaut to hug and touch. About the fourth time, as soon as the other people left the room, I crawled out of that little full covered thing. I took them gloves off and them booties off and that suit off, and I threw it over on the floor, and I crawled up in the bed in a spoon position, and I grabbed my boy and I said, I am not taking no precautions that forbid me to hug on you. I'm not. Somebody asked me, did you always know how much you loved Johnny? And I said, to be honest, I knew I loved him. I didn't know how much I loved him until he was dying, until he was weak, until he needed me to treat him like a baby, until he threw up on himself, until he peed in the bed, until he was shivering and needed body warmth. I loved him, but the last year, that's when the love grew to proportions that are indescribable for me to speak on. That's, people say, you still love him? It's almost 30 years. You still talk about him. You still light up when someone mentions him. I don't get it. And I go, you weren't there. You weren't there. You can tell people about the beauty of the redwood forest, but if you ain't been there, you can't really get it. You can tell people about the Grand Canyon and why they call her grand, but if you ain't been there, you don't get it. One thing I learned from Johnny's transition is to dial up my appreciation on everybody else that I love. And not to play let's make a deal with my Creator ever again. Because I must tell you that when he took his final breath, I was in utter shock and dismay. Because I had made a deal with God. Me and Johnny left show business for you. We left all that money we were making in the mafia-controlled nightclubs of New York and Miami for you. We stopped getting high for you. We stopped drinking alcohol for you. We stopped gossiping for you, even playing cards for you. All we do is sing for you. So when this diagnosis comes up,